Hello and welcome to the Korean Beauty Show podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Lee, former lawyer turned entrepreneur and founder of Korean beauty brand Jellyco. If you want to keep up to date with all the latest K-beauty news and get some tips and tricks to perfect your own skincare and makeup routine in the process, then you are in the right place. On this show, I translate all the latest news, trends, and current affairs so that you can keep up to date with what's going on in the world of Korean beauty straight from Korea. So welcome back. It has been a little while since I was actually in front of the microphone recording, and that is because if you listen to all of our roundup episodes, you might remember that I said that I was going to batch them all up because I was taking a break over the holidays, and so were my podcast editing team. So that is what we did. So I am now back. It's 2025 in front of the microphone recording our first K-Beauty news update episode in a little while. So what I will do is round up some of the big stories that we had over the break, I guess. Now, if you follow along with me on social media, you may have already seen some of these, in which case I apologize for the double up. But for others that were taking a break, you may have missed some of these. And there were some pretty big mergers and acquisitions that occurred in that period. Some of the bigger ones were that Manyo Factory has actually been bought by K&L Partners. So this is a private equity fund, and they actually signed a contract to acquire a 51.87% stake in Manyo Factory. The deal was finalized on the morning of January 4th, and for a reported 190 billion won, which is of course not a small sum at all. So the news was reported in a couple of different sources, and Business Korea was essentially saying that their aggressive expansion into the US market was particularly noteworthy. So Manyo Factory has successfully penetrated to online and offline channels in the US, starting with the world's largest e-commerce platform, which is of course Amazon. They also entered major US retailers Costco and Ulta as well, which led to a 298% year-on-year increase in their US sales for the first half of 2024. And basically that means that they had a really great operating profit and a really high sales success as well, with 105 billion won in sales, which obviously then made them an attractive target for a takeover. So K&L Partners, being a Korean entity, it's sort of all being kept within the same country. Now, the other big merger and acquisition news was that Dr. G was actually acquired by the L'Oreal Group. So at the end of December, L'Oreal announced that it had decided to acquire Dr. G. And basically, the president of L'Oreal Korea, a man named Samuel de Retail, which can we just take a minute to appreciate what an excellent last name he has to be in this kind of line of work, retail. In the last name. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. It sounds French to me. So apologies to Samuel if that's not the correct pronunciation. But when I saw that, I thought, excellent choice of name. He came out and said, having Dr. G brand with us will further strengthen L'Oreal's engagement with the Korean beauty ecosystem and allow us to expand the reach of K-beauty globally. So you might be thinking, oh, L'Oreal K-beauty. This is not actually their first K-beauty acquisition. They previously acquired K-beauty brand 3CE. Financial details for this particular transaction actually have not been disclosed, but we can only presume. Dr. G is a very, very big brand in Korea itself and extremely successful. And I think we saw that when we were doing the roundups of some of the most popular products in 2024. Dr. G had a range of products that were extremely popular on the domestic Korean market. So that was the merger and acquisition news that has occurred over the break. The other big piece of news that has come to light is, of course, that Korean beauty exports have hit a new record. So they have surpassed $10 billion for the first time. So that was, major, I guess, breaking news. And it was expected that the record would be broken. The 2023 record would be broken in 2024. It was just a matter of waiting for the figures to actually come in. So they're in, and the countries by export Number 1 place is still held by China, number 2, the United States, and then number 3, Japan. And according to the Korea Herald, the products that are driving the growth of the K-beauty industry generally are basic skincare, makeup, and then also cleansing products. So some pretty big news coming through there over the holidays that I thought some of our listeners might be interested in hearing a little bit more about. Now, a question that came across my desk last year that I had sort of flagged to cover on the show with you for our question of the week was, what are some Korean beauty products without hyaluronic acid in them? So that is a really good question and not an easy question to answer, because hyaluronic acid and K-beauty have a massive love affair. And if you are searching for product without hyaluronic acid or sodium hyaluronate or, any one of the many derivatives of HA, you might be sort of scratching your head going, is there anything I can use? So many people, so many brands, so many consumers absolutely love hyaluronic acid. So that's why so many products contain it. I know that there are some influencers and even some dermatologists that have come out and sort of poo-pooed hyaluronic acid and sort of suggested that it might dry your skin out even more. That is very controversial, and I will let other people sort of debunk all of that. Suffice it to say that I think that is a bit of a hot take, but I know that there are some people, for whatever reason, hyaluronic acid just does not gel with their skin type. And if that's you, then I do have some products on my list that do not contain hyaluronic acid. However, I am going to give a really big caveat, and that is that this information is current, as it were, as at January 2024. So I have put together this list on the basis of the ingredients lists for the products that I could find that is currently, relevant information. What tends to happen for this podcast and this show is that a lot of people end up discovering the show years down the track even. And I often get messages from people saying, oh, Lauren, I'm just, downloading your entire backlog of 250, however many episodes, and I'm going through them all in one sitting. If that applies to you, just know that with Korean beauty products, a lot of the time what tends to happen is products are upgraded, reformulated, or updated. That is pretty consistent every maybe year or two for some brands. It's like every version of the product that they come out with, it will be a different ingredient list from the last one. So please just double check this. If you are looking for products without hyaluronic acid, just make sure that any of the ones that I am about to share still don't contain it before you go out and purchase it. I would hate to be responsible for someone buying a product that is not going to be the right fit for them. So please do just go and check the full ingredients list before you hit, add to cart or whatever, and make sure that it's current information. So the list I have for you that is current at the moment, to the best of my knowledge, is Atto Barrier's 365 Hydro Essence. So this is from one of the biggest lines of 2024. I've spoken about this a lot in recent times just because of how many products were on the bestsellers list, on the Beauty Awards winning list. I personally also really enjoy this line. I haven't tried this specific product, but based on all the other products that I've tried in the line, I'm sure that it will be a good product. It actually uses glycerin and squalane as a base instead of hyaluronic acid. Another one that I personally don't really rate and didn't really enjoy, but it does not contain hyaluronic acid, is the Round Lab Docto Toner. So for what it's worth, this is a very popular product in Korea itself. I have previously shared that I think that this might have a little bit more to do with Korean patriotism and less to do with the fact that it is an amazing product. And that is because of the addition of Dokdo in the product name. So Dokdo being this piece of land that Korea, it is a Korean territory. Don't get me wrong, it is part of Korea. However, there are some in Japan that also say that Japan has a claim to this piece of land and they have like a different Japanese name for it. So it's a hot issue. If you want to sort of, get people all fired up unnecessarily, mention Dokdo in a conversation and is guaranteed to do that. So I think there was a little bit of strategy going on there when the brand decided to name this toner and put Dokdo in the name. They knew what they were doing, right? And it kind of paid off. This product has gone straight to the top of the bestseller list. a few years ago, and it has remained quite popular. And I think that has a lot to do with why it is, such a mentioned product and so many people talk about it, because personally, I don't think it's that amazing. And I know a lot of other people, when they've tried it, they're like, what's all the hype about this? That's just my hot take. But it does not have hyaluronic acid in it. So if you're looking for a product like that, I think that might be one to try. Another one is iUnique's Beta Glucan Power Moisture Serum. It used to come in a little brown jar, and I've noticed that they've reformulated and upgraded the packaging, and it's now in a blue jar. So this one is a nice hydrating layer. I personally wasn't able to use this in my skincare routine. I found it really did cause my rosacea to flare up a little bit, but if you don't have rosacea, hopefully that won't be a problem for you. It does offer a really nice hydrating layer, so that might be one to look into. Another one is actually the Mixsoon Bean Essence. So that uses glycerin as a base. That is another one to try. I personally tried it. I really enjoyed it. It's not something I would repurchase, just because there are other products in my routine that kind of do a similar thing, but I found it was enjoyable, hydrating. It was a nice layer. It dried down well. It does have that similar texture to snail mucin, very reminiscent of that. But it's also a good option for people that are looking for a replacement for snail mucin. Maybe they're trying to go vegan, or maybe they have, a dust mite allergy or something like that and can't use snail mucin extract in their routine. If that's you, then this Mixsoon Bean Essence might also be a good one to look into as well. So I hope that gives you a couple of products, hopefully ones that you haven't already tried. But yeah, hopefully that is useful information for anyone that might also be in the same boat and looking for products without hyaluronic acid. Like I said, not an easy feat in Korean beauty, just because of the popularity of hyaluronic acid and also it being such an amazing humectant. A lot of people, really enjoy the benefits of it. So that's why it is a little bit of a tall order. It's like niacinamide. A niacinamide, when people are looking for products without niacinamide in them, it can be a little bit tricky in Korean beauty. Brands and manufacturers tend to love working with niacinamide just because of the benefits for the skin. So that can be another one that you have to do a little bit of digging around. Okay, now, before I get into my recommendation for some Korean beauty products to try in the new year, just a reminder that if you haven't already, we would absolutely love for you to try our brand Jellicoe. We are putting the fun back in functional skincare. That is what our brand is all about. We teamed up after basically the background to our brand is that my background was as a distributor, a K-beauty distributor for other brands for many, many years. And during that time, I was lucky enough to be able to meet with so many great brands. And I was even involved in making suggestions for a lot of their products in terms of what I thought would sell well for them overseas. Everything from naming the products to labeling the products, ingredients, key call outs and things like that. And after working, hand in hand with so many brands for so many years, I sort of got to know a lot more about the manufacturing process here in Korea, who the good manufacturers are, got to try out a whole bunch of, different formulas and things like that. And, we then went and set up our business in Korea back in 2019 and started working on our first formulas for our brand, which we actually launched at the end of 2020. And Jellicoe was the result of that. We launched with 2 products initially, our Bubble Tea Steam Cream, which is our moisturizer, and then our Cherry Blossom Sleeping Mask. And that one eventually went on to win a Best of Beauty award in 2023 in the sleep mask category. And since then, we've released several more SKUs. We're still a small brand. We have, I'm trying to think how many products. I think 7 altogether. We have our cleanser and exfoliator in one. We have an essence style toner. We've got two serums. Yep. We've got our pimple patches. We've got a moisturizer, sleeping mask. Am I missing anything? I think that's everything. So that's what we've got at the moment. We have a few more that we're working on in the background, but more to come about them soon. But yeah, we would absolutely love for your support in any way you can, even if it's just a follow or a like on our Instagram. That would be absolutely amazing. All right, let me get back into it and our Korean beauty products to try. So I can't believe I've never mentioned these on the show before, but one brand that I think is absolutely amazing that a lot of our listeners will love if you haven't tried it already is Piccasso. And they are a manufacturer of makeup brushes, spatulas. You might have heard of them semi-recently because their makeup spatula went viral a couple of years ago. This is not a new brand. They've been around for 30 years. And the inspiration for the brand was actually the founder's mother. So she graduated from Busan Beauty Academy and she actually ran her own beauty salon in Jinhae in Korea, and she sold, among other things, handmade makeup brushes that looked like traditional Korean calligraphy brushes. So in the 90s, the founder began making then makeup brushes that were handcrafted, and they've kind of gone from strength to strength since then. They are a favorite of a lot of Korean makeup artists. They use these brushes in their work. They're beautiful. They're beautifully soft. They're easy to use. I've got sort of a small collection, obviously, because I'm not, the best at doing my makeup. I don't really know if I had a, kit of 50 brushes. I don't think I'd even know what they are all for, but I have maybe 10 or so of their products, and they aren't the cheapest by Korean standards, but they are no more expensive than what's being sold in, say, a Sephora or something like that. And the quality is second to none. They are really, really beautiful brushes. So if you have a chance to try Piccasso, I would highly recommend doing that. I think they're beautiful products. You can get them online at some retailers globally, and you can also obviously get the whole collection a lot easier if you come to Korea as well. So something to maybe add to your list for 2025 if you are in the market for some new makeup brushes. Now, I'm going to wrap up our news headlines episode in the usual way, which is a recommendation for the week. And this week, I have a K-drama recommendation for you. And I don't always recommend dramas just because, over the years, I've just found that a lot of them have disappointed me as time goes on, and I don't want to waste anyone else's time. I feel like, people always say, oh, they don't make things like they used to. I feel like that's kind of the case with dramas. A lot of the older ones have like a special place in my heart, but that could also just be because I'm getting older. I've been watching drama for so many years. It's when you look back, you're like, oh, those are the good old days, But this drama surprised me. It really hooked me in for the first few episodes in a way that very few dramas have in the last few years. And that the name of the drama is When the Phone Rings in English. And not to give anything away, but essentially it covers the story of a politician, Piccasso, and he is married to a girl who is selectively mute and communicates through sign language. Her name's Hong Hee-ju. And what we find out in the first episode is that while she's driving at night, basically a masked man enters her vehicle and threatens her. And I'm not going to give anything away, anything else away, but I was absolutely hooked. I thought it was overall a good watch. It did get weaker as the run continued, particularly over the last few episodes, which is disappointing but not unusual, unfortunately, for a lot of dramas these days. However, I'm still going to recommend it because overall I thought it was a very, very creative and interesting storyline. And I noticed that they also have subtitles available in English, which should hopefully help for a lot of our audience as well. It's been trending, this one, on Netflix internationally. Like, it's made it into the top 10 for a lot of countries. So it actually stars An Yeon-seok and Chae Soo-bin as like the two leads. So if you like them, if you like their work, this will obviously, maybe you've already seen this, I guess, if you're a fan of theirs. But overall, I'm still happy to recommend it, even though as time went on, I was a little bit like, a little bit disappointed that it didn't end as strongly as it started. And I don't think that gives anything away. I think that's just, that's just my opinion anyway. But yeah, I think it's worth watching. I think it is an interesting premise is what I would say. In the beginning, I was even like, oh, I think this one is so different and so interesting that I maybe even could convince my husband to watch it. And that's saying something because he is not a drama fan at all. So there you go. That is my recommendation for the week. You'll have to come and find me. Let me know. Have you seen it? Did you enjoy it? Is there anything else that you're watching at the moment that you are liking? I'm a big fan of Korean TV. I watch a lot of Korean TV. So chances are, if it's good, I'd like you to let me know so that I can make sure I go and watch it. All right. That is all I had for you for today's episode. So I'm going to wrap it up here and I will be in your ears again shortly. So we are going to be moving back to our every fortnight one episode every fortnight, just because that's basically as much as my schedule is going to permit. There's just a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes with editing and show notes and all that kind of stuff, and it's just too hard for me to do all of that with only a week's worth of time. So once every 2 weeks I'll be dropping a new episode, and I will hopefully see you there. If you're watching along on YouTube, hopefully be in your ears. If you're listening along on your regular podcast feed, make sure that you hit like and subscribe so that you can keep up to date when new episodes drop. And until then, I will see you on jellyco.com.